Chapter 513, A Big Fish. Before the final person could even blink his eyes, his 7 comrades had already all died and he was frightened to the point he went blank. Before he could let out a shriek, the cold metal of a blade touched his neck and a chilly voice sounded by his ears, "Where is Dongfang Xingchen?" With eyes wide open in shock and fear, the person stammered, Crown pride ... ins is. Cham. He was afraid to the point he could not even speak properly. "Point me in a direction. I promise to spare your life," Ling Tian coldly said. With a pale countenance, that person pointed towards a direction while trembling and felt a warmth in his crotch. He had actually lost control of both front and back from extreme shock. Ling Tian frowned with disgust and with a light chop, that person went unconscious. He then lay on the ground like a fallen pillar with a pair of soiled pants. The instant he fell down, Ling Tian's figure sped away swiftly with his whereabouts unknown. Dongfang Xingchen felt that his luck was truly fantastic. The recently idle crown prince was tired of the boring and depressing life of bantering with his little maids in the palace. After pleading to his imperial father again and again, he finally got the permission to come out hunting. However, his imperial father had given him a curfew and didn't allow him to go too far away. But how could these rules truly restrict the crown prince? The moment he left the palace, he was like a little bird set free from his cage. After entering the forest, he had actually met with such a miraculous encounter. Fated individual? For him to meet with such a miraculous encounter after leaving the palace, how could he not be the fated individual? Seeing the jade-green light shooting to the sky, the almost 200 guards who were following the crown prince were dumbfounded. A group of experienced and knowledgeable experts had also come to the conclusion that there certainly must have been a mystical treasure being born into the world. They all praised the crown prince for being blessed by the heavens that he was able to obtain such a mystical treasure just by coming out for a spin. He was truly the heavenly son of a dragon and had a limitless future. After a round of flattery from his subordinates, Dongfang Xingchen was flattered to the point he went dizzy. However, this did not prevent him from coming up with an intricate plan to obtain the treasure. He immediately ordered his troops to split themselves up into 10 groups and surround the mountain from all directions before marching their way up the mountain in unison. Not a single suspicious individual could be allowed to leave. Dongfang Xingchen would rather kill the innocent than allow the news of him obtaining the treasure to spread out. However, the old and wise leader of the guards, Dongfang Han, felt that there was something fishy about the matter and tried to stop Dongfang Xingchen, only to be mercilessly reprimanded by Dongfang Xingchen. Thus, he had no choice but to shut his mouth and obediently follow orders. Finally, this crown prince had actually become a foot soldier himself, and under the protection of numerous experts, he excitedly charged up the mountain. As he got closer and closer to the final destination, Dongfang Xingchen's heart began pounding faster and faster. "Stop!" Dongfang Han, who was in the lead, waved his hands with a solemn look on his face. "Protect the crown prince. There is a bloody smell coming from nearby. There must definitely be casualties." The surrounding experts spread out in all directions. Every individual took care of a single direction and surrounded Dongfang Xingchen in the middle. There was indeed a thick bloody smell. Furthermore, it wasn't coming from a single direction. While the bloody smell was extremely light in the beginning, it grew thicker and was coming from all directions. At the very end, the whole atmosphere was filled with a thick and dense bloody smell as though they had entered a slaughterhouse. However, from the beginning to the end, not a single cry or miserable moan sounded and everything happened without a single sound. Isn't the situation too weird? A noiseless silence. However, such a silence placed everyone on edge. Dongfang Han. No, uncle, could our men have been killed? Dongfang Xingchen's face turned pale and his body curled up into a ball. His originally arrogant eyes were now cowering in fear. As the crown prince of an empire, even a small open wound would be an extremely huge affair. How would the usually pampered crown prince experience the bloody smell of a battlefield? The leader of his guards, Dong Feng-hen, was also the personal guard of his imperial father. He originally intended to call Dong Feng-hen by his name, but after realizing that his own life is probably going to be dependent on Dong Feng-hen's protection, he quickly changed the way he addressed Dong Feng-hen and called him uncle instead. Dong Feng-hen's expression remained unchanged and completely did not look like he was overwhelmed by favor. In fact, he did not even give a glance to Dong Feng-Chen. As a martial arts expert, he could instinctively feel that they had already entered into an extremely dangerous situation. It was as though the other party's target was their crown prince. "We really should not have come out today." Dong Feng-hen sighed. "Crown Prince, Your Highness, if we are able to return alive, it is best for you to not be so willful in the future." Dong Feng-Chen was immediately displeased and frowned. "Commander Dong Feng-hen, what do you mean by that? Do you think that I wanted to be trapped in such a dangerous situation?" Dong Feng-hen looked at the Crown Prince calmly before shaking his head and replying with a sigh, "Crown Prince, Your Highness, I have visited this mountain many times before and such an oddity had never happened before. In fact, normally not even animals can be seen. However, why would such an odd occurrence appear the moment Crown Prince Your Highness came out hunting? Isn't it too much of a coincidence? Shouldn't we think through things carefully? This subordinate has previously warned Your Highness already, but..." Dong Feng-Chen was stunned for a moment and asked doubtfully, "You are trying to say that this is a trap the enemy has set to target me?" "Perhaps it may not be an enemy." Dong Feng-hen replied slowly, "Crown Prince coming out hunting is something that was only decided at the very last minute and not many people were aware of it. Apart from the few people in the palace who has contact with the Crown Prince residence, there aren't any other outsiders who know about Crown Prince's excursion. Thus, the ones laying the trap may not be an enemy but perhaps someone from the family. My imperial father only has a single son and there shouldn't be any internal strife for my title. Who could it be?" Dong Feng-Chen fell into deep thought and suddenly grew violent. "Regardless of who he is, I will definitely execute his whole family the moment I investigate who the culprit is." "Haze." Dong Feng-hen let out a sigh without saying anything. After going to such lengths to plan out such an elaborate scheme, how would they allow failure and allow you to return alive? "Why? Family head Ling Tian is in the same camp as my imperial father, but the fractures in the family have been getting more and more severe over the years. Dong Feng-Jinglei's strength has been growing over the years and he seems to have the intention of taking over as family head. In the past few years, both imperial father and family head Ling Tian have been suppressing him severely and he would definitely have hatred in his heart. Could it be that this whole event was engineered by Dong Feng-Jinglei? Could it be that he wants to revolt?" Dong Feng-Chen muttered. "It still isn't certain if he is the one behind the scenes." Dong Feng-Jinglei was naturally loyal to the imperial family and family head Ling Tian. Regardless of the reason, this reclusive expert of the Dong Feng family chose to add fuel to the fire. It is said that Second Master Dong Feng has recently returned from Western Han but never returned home and chose to linger around here instead. Of course, this isn't sufficient to prove that he is the person behind all of this and we will have to investigate the matter further." "What is there to investigate?" Dong Feng-Chen cursed. "We are in Eastern Zhou. Apart from Dong Feng-Jinglei, who else will have the ability to set up such an elaborate scheme? Who else would be able to plant spies within the Imperial Palace and Crown Prince residence to keep track of my whereabouts? Even within the group that we have brought out this time, one of his spies must definitely be present. If not, how would he be able to grasp such accurate information about my route? Dong Feng-Jinglei. If I am able to return alive, I will definitely wipe out your whole family and rip you into shreds." Coincidentally or not, Ling Tian, who was hiding nearby, could not help but be stupefied. In truth, He had only arrived recently and did not hear the whole conversation. He only heard the last segment of their conversation and almost burst out into laughter upon hearing it. Just when he was being frustrated about how he could frame Dongfang Jinglei, this crown prince had already come to a conclusion on his own and he did not even have to do anything. To think that this pail of SHT had been poured accurately on Dongfang Jinglei's head. Even if Dongfang Jinglei wanted to prove his innocence after this, it would be an almost impossible task. However, it seems like I must still add some fire to this event. Ling Tian rubbed his cheeks and snickered in his heart. Previously, Ling Tian had used his speed to wipe out more than 6 enemy teams and more than 100 people must have died under his Heaven Splitter. The reason why he placed Dongfang Xingqian's team at the very end was because this team was the most careful, moved the slowest and was also the strongest. In order to prevent anyone from escaping and alerting the enemy, Ling Tian naturally had to leave this scrumptious meal until the very end. After this round of fighting, Ling Tian was surprised to realize that his speed had increased even further and he was almost able to come and go like an undetectable shadow. As compared to before he was injured, while his speed did not truly double, it increased greatly. At Ling Tian's level, it was extremely difficult for him to increase his speed by even a little bit. While Ling Tian's swift improvement in his strength and speed may be exceeded in future, it was definitely unprecedented. Especially with the Heaven Splitter in his hands, it was akin to adding wings to a tiger. Despite his injuries being only 80% recovered, the strength that he had now was no less than his prime in the past. This was an unbelievable miracle. While Ling Tian didn't know why this was the case, he knew that the mysterious energy of the jade pendant must have definitely caused a huge effect on his body. "Who? Come out!" From not too far away, a scream could be heard from the pond. Chapter 514, White-Robed Assassin. Dongfang Hen's eyes lit up as he said, "There has been some movement over there. Let's all gather and move towards there, our chances of survival will be higher as well." With a group of people protecting Dongfang Xingqian, they rushed in the direction pointed. Hidden in the shadows, Ling Tian's figure also flashed as he vanished from his spot. The 10 or so of them walked with swords drawn towards a certain direction in an orderly manner. Standing in their way was a group of dirty tents. With a shuffling sound, a group consisting of around 70 to 80 people came out from the surrounding area and walked to surround the entire campsite. Stealing their nerves, they began to methodically search the entire area, but ended up without any benefits to speak of. Seeing his subordinates walk out empty-handed, Dongfang Xingqian began to feel shivers over his entire body, and he started to tremble. A great sense of fear suddenly gripped his soul tightly. Forcing his weakness down, he shouted, "Where are the rest of the people? Where did they go? Why aren't they back?" His men in question faced each other with looks of dismay. They could not understand why their crown prince spoke such words. Wasn't he the one who had arranged them into groups of 10 odd each? Maybe the other teams had not arrived or had not sent a reply, so why was he in such a panic? Naturally, no one would speak out in such a manner. However, seeing the bodyguards surrounding their crown prince sharing the same pensive look, and with the top expert of their group Dongfang Hin having a worried expression, everyone immediately realized something. Did an accident happen? A few of you from that group split up and search around our surroundings. Scrutinize the area and maintain contact at all times. Once there's an accident, you guys are to holler immediately. As for the rest, maintain your formations and do not separate. Search in that direction. Since the tents are there are bound to be people nearby. Everyone must watch out, we might have already been surrounded. This is a dangerous situation. Dongfang Hen's face was incredibly serious and he barked out orders non-stop. He himself stuck even closer to Dongfang Xingqian, his sword in hand, his hawk-like eyes scanning the surrounding areas without stopping. At this moment, it should have been the crown prince giving the commands, but everyone could see that their crown prince had turned pasty in the face. so scared that he was unable to act as the commander any longer. As such, Dong Fenghen could only step up. Even if he would end up being berated when they got back, so long as they were able to get back, he would gladly receive any punishment. Right now, Dong Fenghen could feel in his heart after sensing the reeking smell of bloodshed. He estimated that the other 6 teams were probably lost in the forest forever. This smell of blood was not present before when they had walked into the forest, and the air had been fresh and pleasant. It was only after they had entered the place that the smell of bloodshed spread all over the area. However, the plot of land they were on was evidently free of any traces of battle, so where had the bloodshed spread from? This point left him baffled. But while there might seem like nothing was amiss, having his men scout the area was still a necessity. Moreover, they might accidentally come across traces of their enemies. It would be better than being overly cautious and getting alarmed at every single gust of wind. He had to consider the fact that for the opponent to swallow 6 groups of their elite troops, the personal guard of their crown prince, without sight nor sound, how good must their martial skills be? Even if he personally took action, he could not guarantee such a success. This point caused Dong Fenghen to feel even more nervous, and he became extremely careful, as he was aware that a slight moment of carelessness would cause him to pay with his life. To that point, he even had a horrifying thought that the 6 teams were actually done in at the same time. This meant that the opponent had 6 top-tier exponents on hand, and if his conjectures were right, they had no way of surviving. If a nest is destroyed, how could there be any eggs left over? Since the opponent was able to get rid of so many people within so short a time, this already displayed their insane might. How could it be possible for them to miss a few stragglers? It seemed like today's matters would not bode well for them. Lost in his own thoughts, Dong Fenghen suddenly heard the rustling sounds of hasty footsteps. 6 totally pale guards stumbled out of the shrubbery, almost running into each other as they Chapter 517, Coming to an Agreement. Then what should I do? Am I supposed to wait for my death without doing anything? I am not resigned. Dong Fenghen grew anxious as he looked at Ling Tian with a burning gaze. Brother Ling, even if their forces are strong, it is impossible for them to be stronger than you. As long as you are willing to help me, my situation will not be completely hopeless. As long as you help me today to tide through this difficult time, anything can be discussed. Ling Tian stood up and paced around slowly with a frown. Currently, Dong Fenghen was no longer in the right state of mind and had laid out all of his cards. If Dong Fenghen could become the family head of the Dong Feng family, just what would happen? Would such an outcome be a good or bad thing for him? Furthermore, were there any other benefits he could get out of this matter? After a few rounds, he unknowingly noticed Zhou Yanzu looking at him with a frown, and his eyes shone with an idea. Ling Tian quickly returned to his seat and looked at Dong Fenghen. I long had the intention to form an alliance with you, and I am not a despicable individual who would go back on my word. Even if you are in dire straits now, my words are still valid. I can promise you that I will help you ascend to the position of the Dong Feng family head. Dong Fenghen exclaimed and thanked Ling Tian profusely. Today, he was almost at his wit's end, and Ling Tian was basically his last hope. If Ling Tian were to reject him, Dong Fenghen would have no choice but to live in seclusion for the rest of his life. Furthermore, that is provided that he could ensure that he wasn't discovered by the Dong Feng family. Then what do you need me to do? The forces under my command currently are extremely limited. After a wave of agitation, Dong Fenghen finally regained his cool and wisdom. Based on what he knew about Ling Tian, Dong Fenghen was certain that Ling Tian was definitely not a helpful and selfless individual. Dong Fenghen was certain that Ling Tian would only give him aid if there were benefits. But it was also because he knew that Ling Tian was such a person that Dongfeng Jinglei was extremely assured. In Dongfeng Jinglei's heart, regardless of how good a comrade was, the moment one loses his worth, there wouldn't be a point to form an alliance anymore. In fact, Dongfeng Jinglei was extremely thankful that he was of some worth to Ling Tian, thus resulting in this cooperation. In any case, it would be much better than escaping for the rest of his life. "What do I need you to do?" Ling Tian smiled profoundly. "My future Dongfeng family head, what do you think you can do with your current strength? Before the situation stabilizes, there isn't a need for you to do anything. However, I hope that you will not hesitate when it is time for you to do something. Do you understand?" Not a single shred of hesitation. Dongfeng Jinglei fell silent. He could naturally understand the hidden meaning behind Ling Tian's words. This person obviously had a huge ambition towards Eastern Zhou and the Dongfeng family. Dongfeng Jinglei pondered in his heart if it was worth for him to make such a decision. Ling Tian sat by the side in a leisure manner and was not anxious in the slightest. After all, the one who needed to be anxious now was Dongfeng Jinglei. Thus, Ling Tian gave him ample time to consider the matter. A long while later, Dongfeng Jinglei said with difficulty, "Dongfeng. Millie. The Dongfeng family will not perish." Ling Tian interrupted, "Brother Dongfeng, you should know that even if I do not have a chess piece like you, it wouldn't be difficult for me to achieve my goal. I would only need to spend a little bit more time. At the same time, time is something that I am not lacking at the moment." "You are right. I promise you." Dongfeng Jinglei clenched his teeth, and the look on his face was that of a gambling addict going all in. At this moment, the look on Dongfeng Jinglei's face seemed slightly malevolent. Ling Tian went silent for a moment before bursting out laughing. "Brother Dongfeng, we are only having a conversation and not fighting for our lives. For you to have such an expression, it looks as though I am trying to bully you. I am trying to help you here." "Young noble must be joking," Dongfeng Jinglei said with a bitter laugh as he thought in his heart, "Isn't this considered bullying me? You have bullied me to the point I cannot fend for myself anymore. After taking this step today, I can no longer turn back and will have to walk with you down this path all the way." But even though he knew all of these in his heart, Dongfeng Jinglei still changed the way he addressed Ling Tian and no longer dared to address Ling Tian as an equal. "From the moment I change the way I address him, I will be serving under a lord and no longer have the right to speak to him as an equal. If I want to have authority in my hands, I will definitely have to pay a huge and heavy price." Hearing the way Dongfeng Jinglei addressed him, Ling Tian's eyes glowed and a trace of elation could be seen in his eyes. He knew that Dongfeng Jinglei was still unresigned in his heart despite already being at his wits' end. However, Ling Tian was certain that he was capable of making Dongfeng Jinglei submit to him completely in future. He was confident that he would be able to show Dongfeng Jinglei how worthless he was without him. However, this was not the right time to subdue Dongfeng Jinglei. After pondering for a moment, Ling Tian said slowly, "I will command Shenruhu to coordinate with you and put up a show. But before that, you have to enter the headquarters of the Dongfeng family secretly and stand out when there is a change." His calm eyes suddenly seemed to have transformed into a piercing dagger as he stared at Dongfeng Jinglei with a threatening glare. "Changes?" Dongfeng Jinglei asked with a depressed tone before suddenly gasping with shock, "Young noble, are you thinking of?" Ling Tian nodded his head. "Why, do you have any questions? Since you have already decided to plant your carrots on this plot of land, we must first uproot the original radishes. If not, where would you find the space to plant your crops?" "But he is still my older brother," Dongfeng Jinglei said with a hint of apprehension. Ling Tian looked at Dongfeng Jinglei silently before laughing in an eccentric manner. He then glared at Dongfeng Jinglei coldly, causing Dongfeng Jinglei to feel a wave of discomfort. A short while later, Ling Tian said coldly, Dongfang Jinglei, you can save this show for Dongfang Jingtian's funeral. Putting on such a show in front of me is akin to winking to a blind man. You are truly not a good actor at all." Dongfang Jinglei's face flushed red. Ling Tian snorted, "Your big brother? Since when did you treat him like a big brother? You are probably hoping for his death at this very moment. You are just helpless at this moment. For you to act as though you care dearly for your brother at this moment, aren't you only trying to make it seem as though you are extremely loyal and compassionate to give yourself more chips in the future? Do you think that such tricks of yours are meaningful?" Ling Tian flicked his sleeves. "Let me give you a warning. Don't play these little tricks in front of me. Since you are going to become a prostitute, you better erect a huge signboard and be open about it. Don't try and act as though you are still a chaste virgin. It is best for you to not erect a chastity arch. Right, this little act of yours is still useful. You should put up this show at your brother's funeral." Ling Tian's words were extremely barbed, and Dongfang Jinglei simmered with anger. After forcefully suppressing his anger, Dongfang Jinglei lowered his head and said, "Young noble's teachings are right." Ling Tian went silent for a moment before saying, "I shall be leaving now. After this matter is settled, I will return to Skybearing and will not return anymore. In future, Eastern Zhou will be in your hands. If there isn't a need, I will not find you in the future. You will still be you, the future Dongfang family head and only spokesperson of the Dongfang family." After standing up, Ling Tian let out a long breath and said without turning back, "Dongfang Jinglei, you are extremely intelligent and scheming. Your foundation isn't weak, and you are pretty talented. I do not have anyone else capable in Eastern Zhou and so I can only benefit you. Thus, you are actually pretty lucky. But if you want to protect the Dongfang family, then let me give you a warning, do not make me fearful of you. You should know that what accompanies my fear would be your death." Ling Tian said with undisguised killing intent, "You must understand that killing you is as easy as flipping over my palms." Dongfang Jinglei burst out in a cold sweat and acknowledged Ling Tian's words repeatedly. He then suddenly remembered what Ling Tian said and could not help but ask, "Young noble will return to Skybearing immediately?" He should not have asked this question but still ended up asking it. This was because Ling Tian's bet with Justice still had 2 more months to go. At the same time, the outcome of this bet was extremely important to Dongfang Jinglei. He was longing for Ling Tian's death a while ago, but he was now praying for Ling Tian's survival. At the very least, Ling Tian must not die before he could unite the Dongfang family. At this moment, justice was the biggest variable. Ling Tian revealed a trace of a smile. He had been intentionally avoiding this question because he was waiting for Dongfang Jinglei to bring it up. Indeed, Dongfang Jinglei did not disappoint him. Ling Tian responded with a no before saying calmly, "Yes, back to Skybearing." Dongfang Jinglei asked with incredulity, "Then young noble's bet?" "It is already invalid." Ling Tian replied calmly, "Justice has given up on the bet. He gave it up willingly." Ah! Dongfang Jinglei was flabbergasted. Justice had given up the bet willingly? What did this mean? Could it be that Justice didn't have the strength to kill Ling Tian? Or could it be that Ling Tian's strength was already at Justice's realm? Thus, Justice would give up willingly. If that was the case, wouldn't that mean that Ling Tian was invincible? Could it be that there wasn't anyone capable of killing him? Dongfang Jinglei's heart was thrown into a mess as he looked at Ling Tian speechlessly with his mouth wide open. Ling Tian knew that Dongfang Jinglei was thinking about and did not bother explaining anything. This was the effect he wanted and thus intentionally replied Dongfang Jinglei with ambiguity. With such a shock, Dongfang Jinglei would not dare to have any malicious thoughts. At the same time, Ling Tian could not help but snicker in his heart. Justice's reputation is still the best. Is this considered borrowing his prestige? Ling Tian nodded his head before holding on to Zhou Yanzu's hand and walking out. Young noble, have a safe trip. Jinglei sends young noble off. Behind Ling Tian, Dongfeng Jinglei's tone was completely different. It was now filled with fear, respect, and even reverence. Ling Tian placed his hand on Zhou Yanzu's lips, and with a gasp, the two of them disappeared from Dongfeng Jinglei's sight. Chapter 518, Perfect Assassination. Seeing his mythical and ghostly movement techniques, Dongfeng Jinglei truly received a huge shock. While Ling Tian's movements were extraordinary in the past, they had not reached such a level. Looking in the direction that Ling Tian left, complex feelings appeared on his face. He suddenly felt as though he had boarded a pirate ship, unable to get off right now. Was today's choice really correct? However, since he had already boarded the pirate ship, he might as well prepare to dance with the pirates. The sky slowly darkened, as the crescent moon shaped like a hook slowly appeared in the sky. The stars hidden in the vast sky also began to shine brightly. In the dark night, garbed in black traveling clothes with a black mask on his face, Ling Tian only revealed his bright eyes as he crouched on a branch, appearing as though he was invisible to the world. Below the tree where he stood was a huge courtyard that spanned so far one could not see the end. This was the famous courtyard of the Dongfeng family, its fame not losing out to the Yu family. This was indeed the power of the aristocratic families, not something that the past Yang family or the Ling family could compare to. This tree was also the biggest one that grew within the Dongfeng territory. It was unknown how long the tree had been growing, but it was at least 100 feet tall, with a circumference so huge that 7 to 8 people linking hands could not cover it. On the tree one could even see scars left behind by lightning strikes, signaling its extraordinary life and tenacity. While Ling Tian stood on the tree, tiny snakes casually crawled around every now and then. Tonight, this tree would witness yet another heaven-shaking event. Tonight was definitely going to be sleepless. The family head, Dongfeng Jingtian, lived at a particular residence about 70 to 80 feet away from this tree. Ling Tian had been standing in this particular tree for at least 4 hours. Before the sky turned dark, he had already arrived at this location. As for Zhou Yanzu, she was already arranged to stay in one of the inns that was in a safe location. Till now, Ling Tian had not seen Dongfeng Jingtian enter or exit his residence, and he could determine that the latter had not even popped by this area at all. Having received another boost to his cultivation and strength, Ling Tian did not require much concentration to control his breathing at this point, naturally melding into one with the tree. The black figure on the tree seemed to have transformed into a light breeze, without form or quality, and yet still remaining solidly present. The breeze is omnipresent. Wind does not exist not because you do not feel it, but because you're not in the position to feel it brushing against you. Right now, an 80-foot circumference around the tree had turned into Ling Tian's domain. So long as Dongfeng Jingtian appeared within the 80 feet of this space, he would immediately suffer the full wrath of Ling Tian's attack. Dongfeng Jingtian would definitely die. Dongfeng Jingtian, the family head of the Dongfeng aristocratic family. Aged 53, with slender eyes, hawk nose, thin lips. Lean in size, about 6 foot tall, weighing 80 kilograms. Does not engage in casual conversations or laugh, does not show any expressions on his face. Mole on face and hair growing on it. Martial skills, the family heirloom of the Dongfeng aristocratic family's art, the world-defying hidden dragon manual. It is rumored that he has achieved the 6th layer of the skill, allowing him to stop the rampaging bull with one hand outside Eastern Sun City. Furthermore, years ago, he crossed hands with Yu Mantian, being one of the rare few who managed to defeat him. He has a malicious nature, vicious, good at strategies, very cautious. Indulgence, loves to drink black strong tea. Not lustful, extremely restricted bedroom activities. Modus operandi, loves to torture his enemies before killing them, never making swift kills. Loves wearing green, His life is extremely regimented and organized. He has stuck to the same schedule of waking and sleeping for decades, a person of strong will and determination. Others, no heir, does not get along well with his wife for reasons unknown. However, his wife once commented that it would be better to be a widow than to have married Dongfeng Jingtian. As Ling Tian closed his eyes, all the snippets of information about Dongfeng Jingtian slowly surfaced in his mind. Regarding his opponent, Ling Tian did not dare to underestimate him in the slightest. Even with the new advancement in his cultivation, giving him immeasurable confidence, he did not dare underestimate this person who used the strength of a single hand to stop the rampage of a mad bull. Furthermore, he had also beaten Yuman Tian, who was in the small success stage of the Xiantian realm. Just these 2 points made him a worthy opponent. Yuman Tian's martial cultivation was already considered close to the apex in this world, even above that of Ling Jian's. However, Dongfeng Jingtian was still able to beat him. This spoke volumes of his own abilities. This was a person with a cruel as well as an absolutely old-fashioned character. It was no wonder that he could not get along with his wife. For a woman to live her entire life with such a person, it would no doubt be an extremely painful thing to do. Ling Tian even had a tinge of pity for Jing Tian's wife. As such, Ling Tian wanted to help her. Since being a widow would be happier than being married to Dongfeng Jingtian, then Ling Tian would fulfill her wish, and make her a happy woman every day. Thus, Ling Tian would rescue this middle-aged woman from her shackles. How altruistic can I get? Ling Tian was thoroughly touched by his own act of justice, of a knight saving a damsel in distress, accompanying her on her journey. Upon reaching this point, Ling Tian almost fell off the tree because of his urge to puke. This was a very weird way of thinking, unconstrained in style. He was indeed worthy of someone who had lived across 2 worlds. To have crossed worlds and lifetimes, to recreate everything of his from scratch, gave Ling Tian a sense of strangeness. As the wind caressed his exposed skin on this still and calm night, Ling Tian suddenly felt a rush of familiarity. This was his world. A world that completely belonged to him. From afar came sounds of conversation, followed by 3 silhouettes walking over. The middle person was a little stooped, as though immensely tired. He possessed a skinny figure, snow-white hair, slender eyebrows and hawk nose, a vicious expression and a mole on his face. Dongfeng Jingtian. Beside him were 2 bodyguards dressed in blue, following slightly behind him just like shadows. Ling Tian was slightly in disbelief. Could it be that even when returning to his own residence to sleep, he would bring his guards? Weird people really have weird ways of doing things. The 3 of them slowly walked, closer to the ancient tree, closer to the residence. Also, closer to their deaths. The night breeze suddenly picked up speed, the whistling of the wind sounding from all directions and bringing with it a hint of cold. As though they had the intention to break the silence of the night, countless leaves on the trees began to rustle and detach, spinning and spiraling as they flew around in the air, just like a man who had finished all his work for the day. Autumn has already come, hasn't it? Dongfeng Jingtian has also arrived, so let his life be akin to those fluttering leaves in the breeze, dead and spiraling away. As such, as Dongfeng Jingtian stepped on the falling leaves, stepped on the moonlight on the ground, he was unknowingly sounding the drum beats to his death. He slowly walked into the small residence, his snow-white hair, that stooped body all indicated that this head of Dongfeng family was like a withering leaf on a tree, that would fall off at any time when the wind blew. Just as one of the guards pushed open the gate to the residence, a gust of autumn wind came along, aiding the opening of the gate. The cold wind ruthlessly blew at Dongfeng Jingtian's face, causing him to narrow his eyes. Those tawny-colored pupils resembled that of the yellow in autumn. The next moment, without any warning, the atmosphere and air around the entire residence were suddenly sucked in as though they had entered in a black hole. The two people together with Dongfeng Jingtian suddenly felt as though the starry sky had turned into a dull and drab area. The exact color of death. A ghostly shadow, at this time, flashed like a black ray of light as it went down from the great tree to Dongfeng Jingtian's side in the blink of an eye, appearing almost instantly in front of them. At this point, that strange figure, quick to the point of being mysterious, appeared, flooding the residence with a biting cold killing intent as he landed there. Before the shadow landed, Dongfeng Jinglei actually did not feel even half a bit of difference. What sort of speed was this? Was this even achievable by humans? Or to be rephrased, was this the speed a peak assassin could reach? Even as Dongfeng Jingtian was in shock, the sword light had already reached his chest. Having immersed himself in years of martial arts, Dongfeng Jingtian did not even panic the slightest in his heart, his sensitive skills immediately coming into play as he twisted his body, knowing that he could not move to either side, providing himself a window of time to decide his next move. After all, the Ling Tian now could not be compared to the Ling Tian of the past. Even comparing his past and present lives, how many could actually avoid Ling Tian's perfectly timed assassination? Or we should say, some might be able to escape, but Dongfeng Jingtian was not one of them. Pooh! Blood splashed, but it did not seem as though Ling Tian's well-planned strike had succeeded. There was a deep wound left on Dongfeng Jingtian's chest where even the bones were showing, and such was the speed of the cut that the blood did not even have time to fill the open wound. Then there was the distinct flash of bone-white color in his chest, which was filled quickly with blood, spurting out quickly. While it wasn't life-threatening, this sort of wound would not be taken lightly. Peng! While Dongfeng Jingtian reacted quickly and prevented himself from being pierced through the heart, he did not manage to fully escape Ling Tian's blow. He was heavily wounded and had no chance to escape any longer, suffering from a strong blow from Ling Tian towards his shoulder. A teeth-clenching pain sounded, with his right shoulder almost shattering from the blow. Fresh blood spurted non-stop. The imposing head of a family actually could not even withstand a blow from Ling Tian. While the latter had the advantage of a sneak attack, if news about this injury spread outside, it would be enough to raise eyebrows in the world. Dongfeng Jingtian had no time to check on his wounds for now. His long experience told him that if he did not escape right now, he would be the next one to die. With a low shout he brought with him a spray of blood as he threw himself backward, and before his bodyguard could react, he had already been thrown forward as a meat shield for Dongfeng Jingtian. Chapter 519, Killing Strike. This action of his was done with the hope of delaying the assassin for just an instant. Even a single blink of an eye would be enough. Dongfeng Jingtian didn't hope for much but only for a slight opening to escape. At the same time, the heavily injured Dongfeng Jingtian forgot about all the prestige a martial arts expert and family head should have as he shouted, "Men! Assassin!" After all, he only had a single life and his pride was worthless in comparison. In just this short encounter, Dongfeng Jingtian knew that the martial arts of this assassin were just far too high. Even if he were to fight this assassin in a head-on battle, it would be impossible for him to contend against this assassin. On top of that, the speed of this assassin was just too frightening. Ever since he was born, Dongfeng Jingtian had never seen a person who possessed such speed. In fact, he couldn't even dream of a human achieving such speed. However, someone with such terrifying speed was before his very eyes at this moment. The most depressing fact was that this person who possessed such a terrifying speed was here to kill him. Between his life and pride, Dongfeng Jingtian made the extremely wise decision to choose his life. To a person who had lived for more than half a century, staying alive was far too important. Dongfeng Jingtian's judgment was extremely accurate. Ling Tian's sword light chased after him like a formless shadow, and before the guard who was treated like a punching bag could even feel fear, he had already plunged himself into Ling Tian's brilliant sword light. Pooh pooh pooh. A series of extremely soft thuds sounded and the guard's burly body had already turned into a bloody mist. A bright ray of light then shone through the bloody mist and Ling Tian charged out wielding his sword like a demon who charged out from hell. His figure then appeared closely behind Dongfeng Jingtian like a shadow and the slight delay was actually completely useless. Behind Ling Tian, another guard collapsed onto the ground with a look of incredulity and a bloody trace on his neck. While the bloody trace was almost undetectable, it was also the cause of the guard's death. The right hand of the guard was placed on his hilt as though he wanted to pull out his sword. However, when he collapsed onto the ground, his sword was only pulled out half a foot. Up until his very death, he could not understand how this black-robed assassin could slice his throat while charging forward in the opposite direction. He could not understand just how he died. At the same time, Dongfeng Jingtian's scream had alerted the whole Dongfeng family and the Dongfeng family fell into chaos. The corner of Ling Tian's lips curled up in disdain and his figure drifted towards the pitifully escaping Dongfeng Jingtian. Was a character like this fit to become the family head of a great family? What a joke. Dongfeng Jingtian was scared out of his wits. At this moment, in order to escape from the black-robed man, Dongfeng Jingtian had even used his blood essence to activate a forbidden technique. He wasn't hoping to kill the enemy but only the chance to escape with his life. He only hoped that his speed would increase to escape with his life. The most important thing was for him to escape with his life. But even with his speed increasing to twice his usual speed, he was still unable to escape from the attack of the black-robed man. The chilly aura of death could be felt at his back and it was undeniably a result of the assassin's sword being pointed at his back. He accelerated to the fastest possible speed and in just this short span of time, he had already begun to pant heavily with his heart thumping so rapidly as though it was about to jump out of his throat. Despite him being as fast as lightning and displaying a speed far exceeding his prime, Dongfeng Jingtian felt as though he was stepping on cotton and inching forward slowly with every step he took. He could already feel the warm breath of the assassin breathing down his neck and the moisture of the assassin's breath dampening his skin. Dongfeng Jingtian was filled with hopelessness. Following that, Dongfeng Jingtian's eyes almost bulged out and the tip of the assassin's sword appeared in his chest with a flash of light accompanying it. It glimmered in the moonlight and was completely spotless. Not a single drop of blood could be seen on the sword as it penetrated through his chest. A killing strike. A sure kill attack. Following that, the glimmering sword tip disappeared and the assassin's figure disappeared completely. He disappeared into the night sky as though he had melded into the wind. That sword strike had completely destroyed Dongfeng Jingtian's life force. Even if Dongfeng Jingtian's heart was misaligned, it wouldn't make a difference. When Ling Tian stabbed the sword into Dongfeng Jingtian's chest, he also sent his inner qi rummaging through Dongfeng Jingtian's body. Not just his heart, even Dongfeng Jingtian's innards were completely reduced to a pile of mush at that moment. Not a single person would be able to survive with such injuries. The moment Ling Tian retracted his sword, Dongfeng Jingtian had already ceased breathing and did not have a single trace of life. He had turned into a complete corpse. However, the most bizarre thing was that Dongfeng Jingtian's feet continued to move subconsciously and he was still escaping for his life. In fact, his body was even able to make a perfect dodging motion just based on muscle memory alone. On Dongfeng Jingtian's body, there were 3 wounds which spewed blood out endlessly and under Dongfeng Jingtian's powerful inner qi, blood shot out in all directions like fireworks exploding in the sky. Shua shua shua. Dozens of black-robed figures hastily landed in the courtyard and witnessed the scene with their eyes wide open in shock. Seeing the 2 hollowed-out wounds in their family head's body, they just could not believe how their family head was still able to continue sprinting. Everyone felt their hair standing on all parts of their body and a chill running down their spine. A fake corpse? Despite all of them watching from the side, none of them could do a single thing. The culprit who assassinated their family head had already disappeared completely, leaving behind only 3 corpses. One was lying on the ground, the second was reduced to a bloody pile of mush, and the last was still sprinting for his life. The inertia of Dongfeng Jingtian's body was finally spent, and his corpse collapsed onto the ground. The dried leaves which had just fallen onto the ground were immediately swept flying into the sky before drifting back to the ground slowly. Everyone was dumbfounded. All of these people were extremely clear about their family head's strength, and it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was the #1 expert in the family. However, that mysterious assassin obviously did not give the family head any chance to retaliate. Before all of them had arrived, their family head was already running desperately for his life. The assassination should not have taken a very long time. Their family head had just left from a meeting with them, and such an incident had happened almost immediately. The bulk of them then rushed over the moment they heard their family head's plea for help, and they definitely did not take any longer than 4 breaths of time. In just a short moment, a top-notch expert of the continent had lost his life. He did not even have the chance to let out a second cry for help. Just what kind of strength did the assassin have to make this possible? From the position of the 2 fallen guards, the 3 of them should have been attacked the moment they entered the courtyard. From then on, their family head began escaping for his life, and from the splattering of blood in the surroundings, it was obvious that their family head had used a forbidden technique to increase his strength. If not, it would be impossible for the blood to spray out so far. It was only possible if the body faced a certain amount of pressure. However, he had been killed in a single strike despite such speed. After this mysterious assassin completed such a heaven-defying task, none of them were able to even spot his shadow. What powerful martial arts! What unfathomable speed! It was too frightening and too stunning. The same figure could not help but float up in all of their minds. Could it be that the assassin was the martial order medallion owner, Justice? In the world today, only the legendary Justice would have such abilities. But why would he assassinate their family head? Everyone looked at the 3 corpses quietly in a daze, not knowing what to feel in their heart. They felt fear, despair, anger, depression, and were even at a loss. However, fear of the event and happiness that they weren't the victims had undeniably made up the bulk of their emotions. After experiencing the unparalleled martial arts of this mysterious assassin, a single thought floated up in all of their heads: if I did not go separate ways with family head previously and followed him here, or if I had arrived a moment earlier, not only would I be unable to save the family head, I would have sacrificed my life as well. All of them could not help but tremble unconsciously as they felt how close they came to meeting their deaths. Like a gust of wind, Ling Tian traversed through half the city and appeared outside the window of an inn. He placed a single finger on the windowsill and his whole body hung in midair. His other hand then knocked onto the window gentle as he asked politely, "Is someone at home? An uninvited guest is here to peek at a beauty." After returning from an assassination mission, Ling Tian was actually able to speak in such a casual tone as though he was a refined scholar coming to meet a good friend of his. With a creaking sound, the window opened and Zhou Yanzu's beautiful face appeared before Ling Tian. Her lips were pouting as she glared hatefully at Ling Tian without saying a word. Ling Tian only looked at her with a bright smile on his face, but neither of them said a thing. A long while later, Zhou Yanzu finally gave in. She took a step away from the window and said coldly, "Uninvited guest, please enter." Ling Tian chuckled and entered the window before cupping his fists. "Thank you, miss." Following that, he then let out a long sigh. "I never imagined that even a lecturer would face such nice treatment. I am truly elated." Zhou Yanzu could not contain her laughter and burst out laughing. "This rotten mouth of yours. It can really anger me to death with a single word, but also tickle me until my sides ache. I am truly convinced. This is my special ability, and I'm not willing to teach it to anyone else." Ling Tian chuckled and lifted up a teacup, drinking the tea within it in a single gulp. You. Zhou Yanzu's face turned completely red. That teacup was the one which she had just used and was holding in her hand a moment ago. On top of that, it still carried the lingering smell of her lips. Chapter 520, Great Noble San San. Hua? Ling Tian stared at her with an expression of bewilderment, as he pursed his lips together and frowned. Why does the tea today smell and taste exceptionally fragrant? There's even a hint of cosmetics in it. Hee. Like kissing someone. As he spoke, he stared at Zhou Yanzu with an evil look, slowly stretching out his tongue and licking his lips. Ling Tian. You lecherous bastard. Zhou Yanzu did not expect Ling Tian's skin to be thick to this frightening degree, and she blushed all over, a face hot like an iron as she yelled and stomped her foot. However, a series of coughs sounded from below, with a croaking voice scolding out loud, "Oh, those above, stop stomping your feet. Cough cough cough, who taught you that those living on the second floor can stomp your feet whenever you please? Cough cough. This old man's body has already followed the sunset to close its eyes and block the nostrils, so could you kindly let me rest in peace?" Since the house's structure was mainly comprised of wood, with the stomping of Zhou Yanzu's feet, one could imagine how much noise it made below. But, this wasn't really her fault as well, was it? The couple in question jumped in shock, looking at each other before unable to endure and started laughing. Zhou Yanzu buried herself in Ling Tian's embrace, chuckling non-stop. It was only after a long while did she finally stop, releasing herself and straightening Ling Tian's clothes. She questioned, "Did you not make a move? Why do I not smell any blood on you? The Dongfang family is after all a great aristocratic family, and should have more precautions." Still, she felt more reassured even as she spoke. Zhou Yanzu evidently knew what Ling Tian was up to, and was also aware how much of a character this Dongfang family head was. Only heavens knew how long a wait she had to suffer back here in the inn, with the most frightening thought in her head being Ling Tian returning with a body full of injuries. Just the thought was enough to make her heart palpitate in fear. Seeing that Ling Tian had come back safely, without a single trace of blood on his body, she automatically assumed that Ling Tian did not make a move, and secretly began to calculate inside her heart how best to dissuade Ling Tian from this operation. After all, getting seriously injured for someone like Dongfang Jinglei was not worth it. Yep. How could I even possibly fail? The deed is done. Having felt Zhou Yanzu's worry, Ling Tian was extremely touched in his heart. He gently ruffled his hair and replied, "Relax, for such a minor character, they wouldn't even be qualified to leave blood on my body." "Ah. Already? Killed?" Zhou Yanzu incredulously raised her head to look at Ling Tian. Just listening to her tone, it sounded as though she thought Ling Tian went to kill some chicken or dog. Surprised by her tone, Ling Tian twitched, and could not help but poke her nose as he replied, "Yep, it was as simple as killing a chicken." Hateful. Zhou Yanzu pouted as she complained, and unconsciously stomped her foot again. At the same time, another cough sounded from below, before that hoarse voice scolded, "This old man is seriously down on my luck. Next time I stay in an inn, I'm never taking the bottom floor." The duo looked at each other once again, immediately starting to snigger at the same time. "Let's rest early. Time to sleep." Ling Tian intimately rubbed her nose once again, before walking towards the bed. He stretched lazily as he continued, "We'll need to leave early tomorrow. I estimate that this Eastern Sun City will turn into a muddled mess by tomorrow." As he spoke, he had already stripped off his dark traveling clothes, only leaving the white inner robes he wore below. "You!" Zhou Yanzu immediately turned red. She suddenly twisted, running to the bed as she stared at Ling Tian. "Why don't you go to your own room to sleep? I remember we booked 2 rooms." Ignoring her, Ling Tian toppled on the bed the moment he came over, sleepily murmuring, "This place is more comfortable, there's even a fragrance." "You! Wake up! You're crushing me." Zhou Yanzu was torn between embarrassment and anxiety, struggling non-stop. When Ling Tian fell onto the bed, he conveniently pushed her down as well, leading to a very ambiguous top-down position. Whoa! So soft. It was as though Ling Tian was half purposefully, half accidentally doing it, but he shifted again, breathing in deeply. How fragrant! He completely ignored the protests coming from Zhou Yanzu, treating her like the cotton-padded mattress below him. He slowly closed his eyes, and one could actually hear the sound of snoring sounding out. Zhou Yanzu stiffened her body, her heart jumping around like a frightened doe as she opened her eyes wide. All of a sudden, she did not know what to do. The corners of Ling Tian's mouth curled out into a smirk as his body slightly shifted, moving to a position beside her. He pushed Zhou Yanzu towards the interior of the bed, then carelessly placed a hand on her waist, hugging her and locking her in place. Zhou Yanzu felt an indescribable shiver pass down her, feeling irritated but at the same time a little expectant. She did not know what to think, and when she realized Ling Tian had already begun to breathe slowly and deeply, she could not help but curse inwardly. Propping herself up, she stared at his handsome face, feeling a rush of warmth within her heart. However, as she was about to slowly slip off the bed, she felt her body sink down. Ling Tian had suddenly placed his leg over her body, causing her to be trapped where she was. Trying her best to hide the embarrassment and shame that rose unbidden to her face, and attempting but failing to push off the snoring Ling Tian, she failed to move him even a single bit. Finally, she could only give up and cast her eyes towards the outside as she lowly sighed. A sense of disappointment rose in her heart. Such a starry night, how could it be passed in this manner? However, a sense of sleepiness and weariness finally engulfed her, and nestled within the warm embrace, she felt unbelievably safe. She slowly closed her eyelids, burying her face within Ling Tian's embrace as she fell into deep sleep. At this point, Ling Tian stealthily opened his eyes, letting out a crooked smile. He was no gentleman, so how could he not have any designs when his woman, a heaven-toppling beauty, was sleeping by his side? To that point, he was completely prepared to do battle with the warm jade sleeping in his arms. However, this young nobleling knew that tonight was not the best time to do anything, with the waves from eastern Zhou just beginning to rise. Ling Tian had no idea how this entire situation would turn out, and they might even have to forcibly break out from the city gates. If he chose to break Zhou Yanzu right now, then how much inconvenience would it bring to them? Furthermore, given the identity of Zhou Yanzu, even if she did not say it in her mouth, and even showed no signs of resistance, she would definitely have some sort of fantasy in her heart, to fulfill her wishes within the setting of the bridal room and ornamented candles. If one did not have the ability to guarantee to allow the woman he loved to wear the red marriage robes, then he should never try to form a relationship that went beyond the boundaries of friendship. Even though she might love you deeply. A mere night for a man was akin to a lifetime of waiting for a woman. Just how many women had already suffered from a lifetime of misery of not getting their lifetime happiness because of a loss of that thin membrane? This was the bottom line of Ling Tian in his past life, and he had carried this over to his new life. While he might have affirmed that Zhou Yanzu was his woman, Ling Tian did not wish to leave any regrets to the women who chose to follow him. Not even the slightest bit. A beautiful woman should be slowly appreciated like fine wine. There are many things in the world that can only be fully appreciated with the test of time. As such, Ling Tian truly did not wish for Zhou Yanzu's first time to be inside foreign soil, in a foreign inn, where war was about to break out. Wait until we're within the red candles, inside the bridal room. Lass, see how I'll torment you by then. On this night, not only did Ling Tian sleep extraordinarily soundly, But Zhou Yanzu also felt the safest she had ever been in a long while. However, the entirety of Eastern Sun City had been turned upside down. It was particularly noisy. The news of the head of the Dongfeng family, Dongfeng Jingtian, being mysteriously assassinated had been transmitted to the imperial court at first notice, and the moment the Emperor Dongfeng Mingri, who was about to bed his concubine, heard this news, his little one immediately withered, causing him to lose all interest. If Ling Tian was made aware of this, he would definitely start to pray for the emperor. For a man to be cut off when he was at the height of arousal, there would definitely be repercussions, and he did not know if the Eastern Zhou Emperor could ever regain his prestige from now onward. Following that was the rush of anger and intense fear radiating in the imperial court. For someone to have so easily assassinated a top-tier expert of his generation, wouldn't that mean it would be an easy task for them to kill himself? Furthermore, after losing the intimidation that was Dongfeng Jingtian, the Dongfeng family would definitely now be in chaos. This sort of matter just had to happen when all sides were about to break into war. One imperial edict after another was passed down like water flowing down a river, and all the city and imperial guards received the orders, immediately mobilizing in the middle of the night to set out to capture the perpetrator. As for the Emperor Dongfeng Mingri, he ignored the pleas and advice of his officials and guards, immediately changing his clothes and rushed to the Dongfeng family without even caring for the danger. He was acutely aware that, if the Dongfeng family were really to be thrown into chaos at this timing, then the days where he lived as the emperor were probably not going to be for long either. As such, the Dongfeng family definitely could not fall into chaos. As such, just like how the Northern Wei Bright Jade City had arranged a city-wide search and capture operation, Eastern Zhou did not plan to lose out, and started a capture operation on a scale not one whit smaller than that of Bright Jade City. If Ling Tian were to be able to see this, he would indeed feel extremely honored. Because the target of both search and captures was him. In the wee hours of the morning, Eastern Sun City was already wrapped up in a torrential storm, with guards capturing people with obvious zeal. On the main street, the little hawkers were being chased off like shooing chickens and dogs, and such was the chaos, it looked as though the apocalypse had arrived. One area would just begin to settle down before another series of frenzied footsteps would sound in another area. Successive scenes of this were repeated, causing the entire place to buzz with activity. At this point, a couple in white walked out to the main street. Not only were both of them elegant and graceful, their looks and bearing as though they stepped out from a painting, but they even carried swords on their waists, looking like children of nobility. However, even as they walked, no one dared to step forward to question them. Why was this so? Not only was it because of the bearings of the couple, which appeared to be extraordinary, but also because of the air of nobility they carried about them, signifying their prestige as people of the upper class who should not be touched. Behind them, there were even 7 to 8 people closely following them, and when the guards assigned to interrogate people saw the entourage behind those two, their eyes bulged and they did not dare to make a sound. Behind those two were a few youths, walking with clasped hands in front of them like servants, but one of them just happened to be the recently famed Great Noble Wu. This Great Noble Wu happened to rise abruptly to fame within Eastern Sun City, having the wind and rains aligned to his beck and call within 2 years. He himself had actually raked in a third of the wealth available around Eastern Sun City. At the point, this Great Noble Wu had already occupied close to half of the total assets in the city. Truly the embodiment of wealth that can topple countries. As for spending thousands of gold on one meal, it was a normal occurrence to this Great Noble Wu, not worth mentioning at all. This Great Noble Wu, because of his love for the number 9, had already changed his name to become Wu San San. While the name sounded odd, nobody took much notice, because 3 multiplied by 3, wouldn't it be 9? Other than commenting on this Great Noble Wu about his eccentric personality, nobody mentioned anything else. It was also rumored that the Dongfang family had once gotten greedy for the riches that noble Wu possessed, wanting to swallow them for their own. However, when they went to look for trouble, they surprisingly got their asses handed to them. While the exact details were not known, the two families kept their distance and worked as friendly competitors from then onward, even politely greeting each other when they met on the street. There was another piece of gossip that said this great noble Wu was not only well versed in making money but also had great martial skills. The most excessive part was when great noble Wu had gotten into a fight with the current crown prince of the country because they were vying for attention from a woman. After being enraged by the crown prince, in his anger, he had rented out all the inns and hotels inside the city, disallowing anyone to go in for a meal. Just that day itself resulted in an expenditure of 300,000 taels of silver. After this matter got out, the arrogant guy chased the crown prince back to the imperial palace, only to be personally received by the emperor the next day. Not only was he not scolded, he was even praised by the emperor himself. This made everyone open their eyes in shock. Everyone was guessing what sort of background this great noble actually had. However, this tyrannical and arrogant character was actually obediently following behind this couple, not even daring to talk loudly at all. What sort of background did these two possess? To have the great noble Wu actually behaving so respectfully, who would actually have the guts to go ahead and ask for their identities? As such, this entourage slowly strolled as though within their backyard, with smiles and laughter, an extremely harmonious atmosphere. They ignored the stares of the surrounding people, slightly wrinkling their brows as though they found the passers-by annoying as they strolled towards the city gates. Outside the south gate suddenly came a loud sound akin to thunder. Hundreds of well-built horses neighed as they rushed over, bringing an unbridled arrogance, and they rushed forward violently. The riders on horseback were all stained with blood, as though they had just returned from a battlefield of death. The one leading in front, looking around 30 years of age, with a square-cut face and sword-like eyebrows, bore an expression of fury as he rode his horse. The moment everybody saw the group, they jumped out of the way immediately. The second master of the Dongfang family had returned. Just as the family head had met with an unfortunate event, the second master Dongfang Jinglei had returned to Eastern Sun City. To people with ambitions, they did not know if this was good or bad news, but for the masses who desired peace above all else, this was actually a good news. Because of the return of the second master, the Dongfang family would have the backbone to support itself, and not sink into chaos. Eastern Sun City would not be thrown into disarray, and everything would go back as per normal. No one, however, knew or found out that the moment the second master of the Dongfang family entered the capital, his eyes had immediately landed on a person, and his pupils had shrunk immediately. There was a myriad of emotions within his eyes: gratitude, fear, even respect. That person was precisely the white-robed youth standing by the roadside, and he lightly smiled, nodding his head slightly. Whether it was by coincidence or with a purpose, no one knew. Then, Dongfang's second master kicked up a cloud of dust as they left, never looking back. The great noble Wu escorted the couple out of the city gates for 3 to 4 miles before he reluctantly stopped in his footsteps. Before he left, the youth had spoken a sentence, which left this Wu San so touched that he nearly wept tears of joy. On the way back to the city, other than the parting pain of separation, it was as though he was in high spirits. To that point, when he passed through the gates once again, he had already taken the attendance of the guards present by giving each one an ingot of gold. San, to see such an achievement from you today, I am extremely pleased. These were the only words that the youth spoke. A mundane, ordinary sentence. If anyone was eavesdropping, they would have found it strange that such an ordinary sentence could actually cause someone of Wu San's caliber to leap with joy. This was the god of wealth in Eastern Sun City, and even the entire Eastern Zhou country, the great noble Wu. To think that Dongfang Jinglei would actually return so early. Seems like Eastern Sun City will turn into a great big marketplace soon enough. A pity though, that I won't be there to see it." Murmuring to himself, Ling Tian turned back to see the rising sun at dawn, narrowing his eyes as he stared at the magnificent city walls. A cold smile hung on his lips as he lightly whispered, "Eastern Sun City. From now onward, you might probably be under me already." By the side, Zhou Yanzu was unable to understand a word of his, staring at him with her huge eyes, an expression of confusion on her face. Ling Tian laughed out gaily, before stretching out his hand and ruffling her hair. He patted her face comfortingly and spoke in a voice as though trying to placate a kid, "What adults say now, you might not understand. Don't worry, once you grow up, you'll definitely know." Zhou Yanzu was so angered she puffed out her cheeks and glared at him. "Aren't you the same age as me? You're at most 1 or 2 months older, but you actually dare call me a kid. How am I so young?" She could not help but wish she could swallow this hateful guy right here and now. Ling Tian laughed at her expression, and sang out, "Get on the horse, my dear Missy, unless you tell me you have some sentimental feelings for this city." Zhou Yanzu rolled her eyes at him and said in a tone of disbelief, "With such a big incident happened, we could actually walk out of the capital in such an arrogant and unbridled manner? Not even a soldier stopped us for questioning? I still can't believe this even now." Ling Tian let out a smirk, "Not just one Dongfang Jingtian, even if you ask me to get rid of Dongfang Mingre as well, I still have absolute confidence in swaggering out. Do you think this is something outstanding? Such matters, to some people, are as easy as lifting up their hands." Zhou Yanzu scoffed at him. "Didn't you just bask in the light of that young noble Wu in order to escape the city? That Wu San, great noble Wu had only dabbled in trade and commerce for such a short time, and yet with such results, he is indeed a first-rate commercial genius. I've worked with him a few times, and cannot even get the slightest amount of advantages from him. Such a character is so deferential towards you, yet you do not show respect for the wise and use it to your own benefit. You wave it around so carelessly, don't you know that you're letting a treasure walk away from you? And now you even have the gall to blow your own trumpet, shameless." Ling Yan burst into laughter at her tirade. "Sigh, I really don't know how to answer you. How would you know the underlying reason? Do you know what Wu means?" "What Wu? Do you mean his surname Wu?" Zhou Yanzu stared at Ling Tian with a brain full of fog, perplexedly shaking her head. "What does it mean?" Ling Tian laughed strangely. "Wu also refers to Wu, too, which also means null, do you get it?" "Nope. What Wu means Wu, but Wu is not Wu. What else could it be?" Zhou Yanzu pitifully shook her head. Her eyes carried a begging look for Ling Tian to bring her to salvation. Ling Tian almost wanted to vomit blood at this sight. "How honest. Let me answer you then. The word Wu means null, while zero also has the same connotation as null. Do you understand now, silly? Then that great noble Wu, in actual fact, is one of yours?" Zhou Yanzu felt as though her brain had short-circuited. "He's my subordinate, not one of mine." Ling Tian interjected, "The phrase one of mine is typically used for my women, for example, Ling Chen, Bing Yan, or you. All my one of mine, my women." Ling Tian let out a wretched smile. "Who's your woman? How shameless." Zhou Yanzu stomped on the ground with a reddened face. "Oh? You're not my woman now." Ling Tian kept his wretched smile as he slowly glided towards her. "You're not willing to be my woman?" "It's not that." Zhou Yanzu was a little nervous now, feeling a little short of breath. She immediately explained, "But till now, I'm not." But halfway through, she felt that this sentence was even more inappropriate, and thus with a yelp, she turned away from Ling Tian. "Oh. Ha ha ha. So that's the case. Yep, you're not considered right now I guess." Waggling his eyebrows, Ling Yan ambiguously spoke, as though she had actually completed her sentence. "This is a serious matter, and I really have to take it cautiously. How about this, once we leave this place, we'll find a place to stay in, and I'll change you into my woman. How about that?" "You batty. I'm going to ignore you. You only know how to take advantage of others." Zhou Yanzu's face was burning at this point. She jumped onto the horse's back and rode off in a panic. Ling Tian guffawed before following suit. He started to shout behind her, "Xur, it's still early now, why are you in such a hurry to find a place? We can wait till nighttime to do so." Zhou Yanzu clenched her teeth and ignored all his catcalls, swearing to put as much distance as she could from that hateful fellow. He was too irritating. Suddenly, the horse she was on let out a long neigh before slowing down. Casting her eyes forward, Zhou Yanzu saw a troop of over 70 to 80 riders on horseback, together with almost 200 horses. While there were a large number of horses, many of them had no riders on them. While the men and the horses were all fully geared and dressed, they had about them a dispirited look, as though they had loaned someone a sum of gold and could not get it back. Seeing the lead youth riding at the front, Zhou Yanzu started to smirk inwardly. To think that this was a familiar face. In front of her was none other than that softie of her fiancé, Dongfeng Xingchen. Chapter 521, Snatching a Peasant Lady. Dongfeng Xingchen had a belly full of anger. After finally being able to come out and relax, he was actually unlucky enough to meet with an assassin. Just when he was about to catch the assassin had actually slipped out of his hands. In this hunting trip of his, he wasn't even able to catch a single hare but left behind more than 100 corpses instead. This made the Eastern Zhou Crown Prince frustrated to the point he almost went crazy. After a series of careful searching, Dongfeng Xingchen returned to the capital with a lingering fear. Every time he heard the sound of crows cawing on his way back, he would be startled and placed on high alert. After finally arriving at the entrance to the city and witnessing the majestic city in front of him, Dongfeng Xingchen could finally ease up slightly. He sat on the horse thinking about how he should find an excuse to take good care of Dongfeng Jinglei and ensure that Dongfeng Jinglei would be sent to the eternal damnations of hell. As he began brainstorming about the many evil schemes to achieve his goal, a horse galloped past him swiftly and Dongfeng Xingchen felt as though a bolt of lightning struck him. There was actually a country-toppling beauty that was seated on the horse. Beautiful. She was just far too beautiful. How could such a stunning beauty possibly exist on the planet? Is this the reward heavens are bestowing onto me after my dangerous trip out of the city? As the crown prince of an empire, Dongfeng Xingchen had naturally seen many beauties before. However, there wasn't a single beauty that could be compared to this beauty in front of him. That chilly charisma of hers and perfect appearance made it so anyone who saw her couldn't help but dote on her. On top of that, her voluptuous figure was so monstrous but yet so humble. The most important point was the fact that this lady had appeared in front of him at this very moment. To the Crown Prince Dongfeng Xingchen, this was a sign of fate. This was a sign that it was a gift from the heavens. All of a sudden, all of the pent-up grievances, lingering fear, and dissatisfaction towards his subordinates had disappeared completely. The only thing that was left behind was lust and a burning desire to possess the lady in front of him. With a lecherous and greedy look in his eyes, Dongfeng Xingchen studied Zhou Yanzu's flawless appearance and was already raring to go. If he could subdue this woman under his body and have a wild night with her, he would have no more regrets in life. "Miss, meeting each other is a sign of fate. I wonder why you are in such a hurry and where you are headed to?" Dongfeng Xingchen tried to pick Zhou Yanzu up. At the same time, his eyes narrowed to slits as his gaze lingered around Zhou Yanzu's curvaceous figure. A ball of flame immediately burned in his navel and rushed downwards towards his little brother. Scram! A good dog will not block the way. Zhou Yanzu's nostrils flared up in anger as she waved the whip in her hand. If it was anyone else blocking her way, Miss Zhou would definitely not be so incensed. However, the man in front of her right now was the individual who had almost ruined her lifetime happiness. Seeing his lecherous appearance, Zhou Yanzu was immediately disgusted and felt like vomiting on the spot. To think that her family would actually agree to marry her off to such trash. Thinking about that, Zhou Yanzu was even more enraged. Dongfeng Xingchen naturally did not know that the beauty in front of him right now was actually her nominal fiancée, Miss Zhou of the Zhou family. Thus, he looked at Zhou Yanzu's angry appearance with interest and ignored the rudeness of the other party. "Ah ha ha, Miss is wrong. For us to have such a coincidental encounter in the vast lands, isn't it a chance granted to us by the heavens? Since we are fated to meet each other, why is there a need for you to spout such nasty words? While this prince is untalented, I am willing to accompany Miss to admire the beauty of the moon and feel the cool night breeze." Seeing how the other party looked at him with disdain, Dongfeng Xingchen decided to address himself as this prince. In other words, he was trying to flaunt his status as the crown prince and force the lady in front of him to submit. Ling Tian had arrived long ago and stopped his horse by the side to watch the show before him with a smile that didn't seem like a smile. Even Ling Tian did not imagine that after being scared out of his wits and losing more than 100 of his guards, this crown prince in front of him still dared to act so unbridled today. If not for Ling Tian being merciful and sparing his life back then, he would have reported to King Yamo by now. To think that he still dared to flirt with Zhou Yanzu in front of Ling Tian's eyes. He was truly a talent. The ignorant are fearless indeed. Zhou Yanzu snorted and ignored Dongfeng Xingchen. Turning around, she realized that Ling Tian was laughing by the side and being a complete bystander without any intention of helping her. She could not help but be irritated in her heart and a plan surfaced in her mind. She then called out to Ling Tian, "My husband, save me. There are a few despicable lechers blocking my horse." Ling Tian immediately choked and almost fell off his horse. Zhou Yanzu's words were truly potent. Indeed, more than a dozen pair of hateful eyes immediately turned to his direction after they heard Zhou Yanzu's shout. Ling Tian could not help but be frustrated as he thought, "Damn it, I only managed to let them stay alive after suppressing myself with great difficulty. Who would have thought that they would provoke me today? Could it be that these idiots are dying to go to the Yellow Springs?" "Husband?" Dongfeng Xingchen's expression turned nasty. To think that this peerless beauty before his very eyes already had a husband. How could such an elegant and exquisite peony be stuck into a pile of dung? This was unforgivable. Dongfeng Xingchen felt a ball of anger rising as he glared at Ling Tian hatefully. "You are this Mrs. Husband?" Ling Tian looked at Zhou Yanzu with a smile and replied in a casual manner, "That's right, she is my wife." Audacious. The guards by the side began shouting, "The person before you is the Eastern Zhou Crown Prince. Why aren't you kneeling down and paying your respects to him?" "Crown Prince? You are the Eastern Zhou Crown Prince?" Ling Tian seemed to have suffered a great deal of shock as he looked at Zhou Yanzu with a pale appearance. "My wife, this is the Eastern Zhou Crown Prince. I think the Crown Prince has set his sights on you and your husband is helpless. Why don't you follow him obediently? I know that you have a fiery temper, but you must be understanding. If the Crown Prince gets angry, both of our families will definitely be in trouble." Everyone present could not help but look at Ling Tian with disdain. So what if he is the Crown Prince of an empire? How can a man not protect his own wife but offer her up to another guy instead? Can he still be considered to be a man? Zhou Yanzu, who was familiar with Ling Tian's strength, was even more dumbfounded. Looking at Ling Tian with her mouth wide open, she could not imagine that Ling Tian would actually say such a thing. While Zhou Yanzu knew that Ling Tian was only making a fool of Dongfeng Xingchen, she could not help but feel discomfort in her heart. She glared at Ling Tian hatefully and began weeping pitifully. "My husband, this woman will be your slave when I am alive and your ghost when I am dead. I will follow you and not leave you even in death. I do not want to follow any crown prince. Woo woo woo. I do not want to follow the crown prince." She then covered her face with her hands and began weeping miserably. At the same time, a crafty look could be seen in her eyes. "Since you want to put up and act, this young miss here will play along with you. Let's see how long you can put up this act for. Let's see who will be the one to give in first." Not simple. She did indeed live up to the title of being the Southern Fortune deity. It would definitely be an easy task for her to win a small gold figure in his previous world. Ling Tian secretly gave Zhou Yanzu a thumbs up as he cried out with grief, "My wife, just like the saying, a thin arm cannot win against a thighs. As a penniless broke person like myself, how can I win against the crown prince? I am also helpless. My dear wife, I can only let you suffer some grievances first and I will definitely come back and redeem you when I am accomplished in future." As Zhou Yanzu heard what Ling Tian said, she almost burst out laughing. What kind of a logic is this? Redeeming her in future after giving her away? However, she began to wail as she grabbed onto Ling Tian's arm. "I don't want to leave you, husband." One person was bawling her eyes out while the other was repeatedly sighing, and the atmosphere in the place became extremely miserable as the heartbreaking scene of two lovers separating unfolded before the eyes of everyone present. The guards by the side could not help but look at the young couple in front of them with pity in their eyes. At the same time, they also felt that their crown prince was also taking things too far. How could he destroy a family just because of a lady's beauty? This was an act that went against the heavens. As Dongfeng Xingchen heard what Ling Tian had said, at first he nodded his head with a smile. This brat is pretty wise. But as the conversation went on, he felt as though something was wrong. This brat is obviously trying to imply that I am a tyrant who wants to bully him and snatch his wife. After hearing Ling Tian's words, Dongfeng Xingchen felt as though he was no different from the local hoodlums in the streets. Damn it. Dongfeng Xingchen let out a heavy grunt, and upon seeing that there weren't any other passers-by, an evil thought rose in his mind. If you guys didn't cry or create a scene, I would have let the matter rest easily. But now, since there isn't anyone nearby and everyone here are my men, even if I wanted to snatch your wife, what can you do about it? As long I cover my tracks well and these guards do not say a thing, who would know of my actions after I kill you and bury you in the wilderness? He then looked at Zhou Yanzu again, especially how her current pitiful appearance made him want to dote on her. The lower half of his body grew excited as the evil thoughts in his body could no longer be controlled. The corner of his lips also curled up into a lascivious smile. Even if I have to snatch, I will definitely snatch this beauty into my hands. Such a beauty is rare for even this Eastern Zhou crown prince. If I were to let her go today, wouldn't it be the biggest regret of my life? As though he noticed the thoughts of Dongfeng Xingchen, Dongfeng Hen took a step forward and reminded, "Crown Prince, we aren't far away from the danger zone and we shouldn't remain here for long." Dongfeng Xingchen snorted and did not even bother looking at Dongfeng Hen. Currently, Dongfeng Xingchen's displeasure towards Dongfeng Hen was like the unending river and vast ocean. The assassin was already heavily surrounded by all of their guards, but this Dongfeng Hen just had to put up a show of elegance which resulted in the assassin escaping. What was the point of having such a foolish guard captain? Fighting with someone else was about putting your life on the line and not about acting cool or bothering about your elegance. Why would this crown prince want to witness the elegance of an old man like you? Don't I know how to visit the brothels for that? Even a simple action of those ladies shaking their behind would probably be more appealing than an old man like you. Looking at Dongfeng Xingchen's eyes being filled with a malicious intent coupled with the intense desire of possession, Ling Tian could not help but be frustrated. Brat, It seems like I have no choice but to kill you today. Why do you want to seek your death? Chapter 522, Internecine Strife. Actually, based on Ling Tian's temper, he would have long ago slapped this sex maniac to death with a palm. So what if this land was part of Eastern Zhou? The real reason as to why Ling Tian was depressed was not because of Dongfang Xingchen's type of lecherous behavior, but rather the fact that he himself might not be able to control his killing intent and annihilate him on the spot. Then all the effort he had put in before would all go to waste. From the situation now, it looked as though it would not take long to attract Ling Tian's killing intent. This kid really doesn't know what death looks like, right? Could it be that today is an auspicious day to walk on the Yellow Springs Road? Ling Tian was trying his best to control himself currently, to not incite his killing intent towards such a despicable character, or else all the effort he spent within the forests would be rendered useless. After all, he was still counting on Dongfang Xingchen to sow dissension when he returned, allowing the imperial family and the Dongfang family to fight internally. If the crown prince were to die here just like that, wouldn't it be a waste of his efforts? The effectiveness would be diminished if it was just Dongfang Hin and the guards left. As Ling Tian looked at the ever-rampant Dongfang Xingchen, he really wanted to ask a question. Kid, did you manage to divine the fact that I cannot kill you? Or else why would you be so arrogant in front of me? Finally, Dongfang Xingchen let out a pained cry, holding onto his left arm with his right hand. There was no sign of pain on his face, but he angrily called out, "Darn thing, to try and assassinate this prince. You've made this crown prince suffer such a heavy injury. Come on men, bring down this fool who doesn't know what is it to die. Dead or alive, it doesn't matter." After a slight pause, as though afraid that his guards would also kill his beauty, he added on, "The assailant is the male." A series of weird expressions surfaced on the looks of the various guards. The guy was obviously standing so far from you, not even budging a single inch, but you actually mysteriously got injured. Even if you wanted to pretend, at least make a good show out of it. Your scream was so fake, your face still so energetic. You just want the life of that scholar over there. Just as the various guards were contemplating whether to rush forward like what their crown prince commanded, Ling Tian and Zhou Yanzu were also heatedly discussing something. It seems like this crown prince really has some intentions towards you, to actually wish to silence me in broad daylight. Sigh, femme fatale, what an injustice to me. Ling Tian ridiculed even as he laughed. Annoying. Tian G.T. How do you plan to deal with him? Kill him? Zhou Yanzu had on a face of dislike. This would have to see what sort of suggestion my dear wife would want. If you think that he's too boring, then I will finish him off. It depends on you, at most we will just redo the drama that we've set. Ling Tian sinisterly sniggered, not even putting those dozens of guards rolling their sleeves up for battle in his eyes. I know that you wish to kill him even more than I do, but this will affect your original plan, and will cause all your hard work to go down the drain. But such a beastly road cannot be allowed to go scot-free, or else we might not know how many other women will fall prey to him. As such, Zhou Yanzu spat out with clenched teeth as she stared at Dongfang Xingchen, the underlying meaning clear in her words. Ling Tian felt a chill through his heart. This lass was seriously vicious, and from her unspoken words, Ling Tian could hear her meaning. How to go about not letting him be able to harm other ladies. The solution was simple, so long as he did not have his tool to harm ladies, that would do. In Ling Tian's previous life, the famous martial exponent, the top expert of the world had reached that stage because he did not have his tool. And his name was Dongfang Bubei. 1. It seems like I'll have to turn him into another Dongfang Bubei. How coincidental that his surname is also called Dongfang, and a pity that this world does not possess a sunflower manual, or else this fellow would really be invincible. With slight regret, Ling Tian stared at Dongfang Xingqian's lower half as he shook his head. What invincible below the heavens? Zhou Yanzu had a confused look on her face. Oh, I was saying, it's time for me to move my limbs a little. Ling Tian hastily covered up. After this sentence, he moved forward. It was then that Zhou Yanzu found out 7 or 8 of the guards had already surrounded them with swords drawn. Ling Tian took 2 steps forward, arms folded around his chest. Suddenly, his voice turned cold as ice. Are you guys really going to take the side of the evildoer, and help your crown prince to snatch away my wife? The surrounding guards were all speechless, and one of them immediately scolded, "What's with all that nonsense? Brothers, let's hurry and get rid of this poor guy, no, this assassin for the crown prince." As he spoke, he raised his blade and brought it down. The rest followed suit, shouting as they stabbed forward. The next scene would probably be when this weak scholarly person gets chopped into pieces. That is if Ling Tian was really a weak scholar. Dongfang Hen only let out a long sigh and closed his eyes. While he disagreed with such matters, as a subordinate, how was it his place to spoil the matters of his crown prince? Furthermore, the opponent was probably just a poor scholar with no backing nor status to his name. If he was killed, then so be it. There would not be any repercussions. This was not the first time it had happened anyway. Ling Tian let out a cold smile and he suddenly rushed forward in high speed, straight into the encirclement. Suddenly, the guards rushing forward let out cries of pain, miserable beyond belief. Possessing acute senses, Dongfang Hen immediately discovered that the situation was amiss, and opened his eyes. Seeing the scene in front of him, his eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. Behind him, the 70 to 80 men who wore looks of schadenfreude as they prepared to watch the cruel show had lost their voices. The scene in front of them made them doubt their eyesight. Just what had happened? Following this, someone felt his intestines spasm, and started to puke. Even all the bile inside was puked out. Of those 8 who had rushed forward with their swords, all of them remained standing upright on the ground, but they had already lost their lives. One of them had a sword stabbed into his throat, another into his heart. 8 sword blades, all ended one of their own companions' lives, forming a macabre spectacle where the 8 corpses still stood stable and upright like Mount Tai itself. Fresh blood spewed non-stop out of them as though it was free of charge, and below each corpse was a never-growing puddle of blood. The pools of blood flooded the hard ground, combining to form a river of blood that was still slowly lengthening. In that instant the guards had stepped forward. Ling Tian had used his own movement techniques to skirt around the group, applying minute forces to each of their elbows, diverting and rectifying their swords toward their own companions instead. As such, the 8 of them turned into a beautiful scene of internecine strife. Right now, only Ling Tian remained standing at the same spot, clapping his hands as he spoke. "You guys are really righteous warriors. Unable to bear seeing my wife and I get forcibly separated, you actually chose the path of suicide, unwilling to help the evildoer in his crimes. Such a heroic bearing, you guys are really the role model of the pugilistic world. I'll forever carve your actions in my heart." Seeing how this weak scholar who was supposed to be cut down was actually still able to stand off to one side and speak such cynical remarks, everyone felt themselves shiver uncontrollably. One moment ago he was a harmless sheep, suddenly he transformed into an azure from the underworld. This huge reversal caused everyone's mind to be unable to wrap around it, and they stared foolishly at Ling Tian instead. Who exactly was this guy? The majority of the guards present still did not know what was happening, or why this bunch of people suddenly started killing among themselves. But the only thing they could confirm was that this frightening sight in front of them was created by this jerk who was smiling like a Cheshire cat in front of them. It was just that Ling Tian's movements were too quick, and out of the blue, which made them question their eyesight as to whether he really moved or stood still. The only person who could have shown some light on this incident, Dong Fenghan chose precisely the wrong moment to close his eyes instead. But there was one point that all present were clear about, and that was the fact that the Crown Prince had kicked an iron board this time. Whether it was witchcraft or martial skills didn't matter. At this level, for witchcraft would mean that no one would be able to resist. If it was martial arts, then that would be even scarier, for it would mean that their Crown Prince had offended a peerless genius for no reason, and everyone related to him would get their heads ripped off as recompense. For such a person, the Crown Prince actually thought of taking his wife to play? Seems like the guy would play his brains first before he even gets to do anything. What happened? Ah. Damn it, you bunch of failures. Even if you aren't willing to help this daddy do his business, you don't need to commit suicide, right? Are you guys trying to spoil my happy mood? The Crown Prince's enraged cry now carried some form of hysteria. Dong Fenghan stared with wide eyes, unable to believe the terrifying scene in front of him. He felt as though his heart was about to leap out of his chest, his voice carrying some fear as he screamed, "Charge! What's the use of me raising all of you? Bunch of trash, you cannot even settle a poor guy? All of you charge!" Hearing the urging of the Crown Prince, not only did the remaining guards not charge forward, but they collectively retreated a step as though they had some hidden chemistry. Charge? Go on top of your mom instead. Do you think this daddy's life here is as worthless as grass? Daddy here has not lived his life enough yet. Ling Tian had a big smile on his face as he looked playfully at Dong Fenghan's ashen face. He gently replied, "Crown Prince, if you want to play with women belonging to others, you have to do it personally. How could your men replace you in doing it? Maybe if you step forward yourself, you just need to shake your tiger-like strong body. No, you're the Crown Prince, so it should be dragon-like strong body, and I might just pee in my pants. Come on, don't be shy. Such a peerless beauty in front of you, you've probably never seen the likes of her in your entire lifetime, right? Quickly come over, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If you miss this, then there will not be another chance. You'll regret this for life." Dong Fenghan's lips trembled non-stop, turning back and staring pitifully at the guards who were huddled behind him like a flock of geese. His body started to tremble, almost falling off from his horse.
Thank you for your continued following. Please support us by subscribe to encourage our continued creation. And press the bell to notify new chapter from us. Thank you.